Greetings everyone, Ashton here with another short talk. Today I wanted to talk about Siddhi, which is often translated as perfection, but it's usually referencing supernatural powers. And almost every yogic tradition deals with this in some way or another. Most of them will mention it in the context of, hey, these supernatural powers will come about when you're doing this yoga stuff. Don't get distracted by it. It's not actually what you want. It'll only lead to more trouble and suffering and problems. Because it's translated and thought of as supernatural powers, most people in the modern world are fine just saying, okay, we push that part aside anyways because I don't believe in magical powers or this or that, and that's fine. Or even if you do believe in magical powers, you're like, okay, cool, put aside, I don't want magical powers for my yoga practice. I just want like some comfort for my low back. I want to be a little calmer and more mellow and less stressed and anxious, right? So we don't think that it's really a big deal. But why I want to make this case for understanding Siddhi better is because it actually really does matter. Because Siddhi is also, in a smaller sense, in reference to the magic that happens with this yoga practice. And what I mean is that people come and they get all kinds of healing from the practice. They heal physical things, emotional things, mental things, just by doing the practice itself. That is Siddhi. When you go to the practice and you have something that maybe even Western science can't really explain yet, like, well, why does this practice or this pose or this do that or help that? We don't really know yet. Or maybe for one person, it does some miraculous thing, and another person, it doesn't do it at all, and for another, it does a completely different miraculous thing. This is all Siddhi. This is the perfection, the sort of mystical, magical powers that come from this practice. But why it matters is because we're not necessarily talking about like the ability to heal the sick or levitate or teleport or anything fanciful like that. We're talking about the very real healing that happens through the practice. Because, why I bring this up and why it's important is because most people do come to the practice without knowing it, searching for Siddhi, searching for some sort of miraculous healing, or maybe not even miraculous, just everyday calm and healing. They go because they want to be more flexible. They go to the practice, for the physical practice anyways, they go because they want a calmer mind, to be less anxious, all these things that I already mentioned. When you search for those, when you seek those out in the practice, it creates more suffering. So the point is to learn how to do the practice, which especially the tantric practice is inherently an awareness practice. And then you'll have all of these wonderful benefits come. But if you try to get the benefits, you're more likely to cause harm than good. Give you a basic example. Let's say that I want to take a physical yoga class to get in better shape. Well then, every single practice I'm judging and labeling and comparing, well, was this a good enough workout for me today to feel like I got some exercise in and I'm getting stronger? If it does, then I feel good. If it doesn't, then I feel bad, like I didn't have a good practice. And so I'm continuing the cycles of suffering that are generated by the mind, rather than just being able to enjoy and appreciate the experience of the practice itself. Let's say I have an injury to my knee, because I do have plenty of those. If I'm going into my practice for the purpose of healing my knee, then I will constantly be caught up in this inner dialogue of, oh, my knee, is it healed yet? Or, oh man, I thought it was healed, but now it's hurting again. What's wrong? Blah, blah, blah. And we get caught up in all these cycles that just create more anxiety, more problems, more difficulties. Rather than doing a physical practice, it might do great wonders for my knee. It might not, but usually in the practice, if we're being very aware and present with our body and everything else, that it's going to be positive for my injured knee, let's say, but that doesn't mean that it's miraculously going to heal it, or maybe it does. But the purpose is, and the point why all these traditions say don't focus on Siddhi, is that if I'm focusing on my knee, then I'm not really understanding what the practice is, and it's going to create more suffering in my life. So for whatever reason you come to the practice, I encourage you to set that aside and not seek that out from your practice. The practice itself is one of becoming more aware of the self. And that can be done in such a way that, yes, all of these miraculous things will happen from it, but the practice itself stays the same. So there's no striving, there's no seeking, there's no needing to get somewhere because then you'll be happy. It's about being more aware of who and what you are in this very moment. So Siddhi does happen in yoga. It's legit. It's real. Doesn't mean like you get to levitate or like shooting out magical stuff out of your hands. It could just mean like, oh, my back doesn't hurt anymore or whatever it may be. That still qualifies, that healing that can take place still qualifies as Siddhi. We just don't want to focus on getting that from the practice as that will create more problems. Stick to the practice itself. Keep your presence in the practice itself, and you'll get a lot more from it that way than if you're striving and seeking to get something out of it. All right, so hopefully that's helpful in the realm of Siddhi, also in the realm of practice and understanding it a little bit more in ways that we can approach the practice that's not going to contribute to more suffering. Thanks for joining me today. Leave any comments if you have any questions or anything else. Thanks for blessing me by watching this video. Anugrah Pitosmi.